Well, it's another hot, humid day here in Florida, but we're back out here at the bus working on getting the rest of the ceiling panels down. So hopefully today I can get the rest of those out and we can keep moving forward. One of the things that I noticed when I started taking the lights and the speakers out to get the ceiling panels is I did lose power to the front control panel to the left side of the driver. So at some point I'll have to troubleshoot that electrical issue, but the bus still starts and runs just fine, even though that panel doesn't seem to have power. So let's dive right into it and get back to ripping those ceiling panels down. Welcome to Seeking Discovery. I'm Ryan, and I have a passion for travel and building things. At the end of 2020, I decided it'd be a great idea to purchase my very own school bus to convert into a tiny house. So come along as I make mistakes, learn a lot, and make lasting memories, turning this old bus into a new tiny home. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to hit that subscribe button to follow along on all the adventures. I look forward to sharing this with all of you, and as always, continue to explore every day. So the first step in getting the ceiling panel ready was to get all of the lights and the speakers out. So you can see I'm going around taking those out, and then I start dealing with the rivets and drilling out some of these stuck rivets. No idea if this is going to work or not, but let's find out. So in retrospect, I probably should have started at the back of the bus and moved my way forward, but because the air conditioners were there, that wasn't really feasible. So if I were to do this again, I would drop the air conditioners first and then take the ceiling panels out. But you can see I was struggling with the rivets, but eventually was able to kind of muscle it out of the way and get it to come down. Well, I made some good progress out here today, but I got to a stopping point, so I think I'm gonna call it quits. Some of the next things that need to be done is behind me. I've decided to keep the air conditioners, but to finish getting the rest of the ceiling off, I need to drop those, and I can't do that alone, so I need to wait for someone else to be here. Same thing with the air conditioner in the back. Some of the things that I was able to accomplish today is getting quite a bit of the ceiling panels out, pulling the insulation. I also started pulling the lower insulation and bagging that up. So it's getting close. Some of the next steps, like I mentioned, got to get those ACs down temporarily to get the rest of the metal out. And then comes the real fun part over here. We've got kind of the umbilical cord of the bus, and I'll have to go through and pull out all of these cables that were disconnected and are no longer needed for the bus. So that'll be in an upcoming video when we're focused on the electrical and kind of removing all the unnecessary objects to the electrical system. It is a beautiful Florida day here. The sun is shining, it's not too hot, so it's a perfect day to hopefully get the rest of the ceiling out and drop those AC units so that the rest of the metal can come out. Luckily, I've got Caleb here on site today, so he's gonna be able to help me carefully lower those ACs down to the ground and hopefully not damage them, because the goal is to put them back up and use them for a while and decide if I want to keep them full-time or if in the future I want to take them out. So the first thing I did to get ready for the ACs is disconnected the power. So back there in the second door is the power connect for the ACs. So I disconnected the big wire for the battery, so the ACs should no longer have any power to them, as well as the bus is off. So we should be safe to start taking those down without any risk of electrocution. And we just need to be careful of the refrigerant lines so that we don't puncture them or damage them, because we don't want that refrigerant getting out into the atmosphere. So come along as we get those ACs down from the ceiling and keep taking out the rest of those panels. Well, I've got an update for everybody. We have successfully taken down the front AC unit here, and you can see the back AC unit is sitting on a garbage can. So now the next steps are to get the rest of the ceiling out here, and then what I got to do back here is you've got this kind of piece of sheet metal that's kind of stuck in there, and so I need to cut part of it so that I can get all the hose out, and then we can throw that sheet metal out and put this AC right back up. And on the front one, I'm gonna have to put in some new bolts to rehang it, similar to how they are back here. And if you look, these are literally just through the ceiling, sealed off with some silicone, and then they're with nylock nuts bolted back in. So I'm gonna do the same thing in the front for the front AC, so that I have kind of the freedom and ability to run the ceiling I want underneath it and make it all look really nice, and not have to worry about it in the future and be able to spray foam it all. So now that it's time to get back, I just popped all of these rivet heads with the air punch, and so now it's time to come in with the hammer and chisel and start hitting them. So today I'm trying something new. I've got a wrist brace here. I noticed the past couple of days after swinging the hammer so much that my wrist was really getting sore. So I've got it braced today to hopefully make it so it doesn't absorb as much of the impact and reinforces my grip so that ultimately I don't injure myself. So keep that in mind. Repetitive motion can cause strain and stress and injuries. So I'm trying to avoid that by putting a brace on. Okay, quick little update. First, that was a close call. I'm lucky that I didn't get hurt in that, which is why when you're taking ceiling panels out, you should really have a second person here. Luckily, I'm almost done, and so far so good. But one thing I wanted to point out after that panel came down is the reason why I recommend taking your ceiling panels down, and that is to find spots that could be wet or have leaks, and this is the exact example why right here. So it has been humid and a little bit of rain the past couple of days here in Florida. So as you can see, the panels right here above me, now that the ceiling panel's out, there is visible condensation on the ceiling. So that means most likely the hatch here has a spot that's leaking. But now that I know that, it's something that can be addressed and fixed and make sure that it's not a long-term issue. Whereas if you would have left the ceiling original, you would have never found that leak. There would have been moisture in that insulation, which could cause a lot of problems and mold and things like that in the future. So another great example why I recommend taking these panels off so you can really get the full picture of what your bus is. Well, that's going to wrap things up here today at the bus build. It has been a very productive day, and it's exciting. It looks dark in here, but it's really not that dark outside. But as you can see, all of the ceiling panels are officially down, and all of the fiberglass insulation is also removed. In some of the time lapse, you probably saw me wearing a full respirator and gloves while I was dealing with that. And the reason for that is because, as the name implies, it's literally fibers of glass, and you don't want to be breathing that kind of stuff in. So if you are going to be doing a bus of your own and you plan to take all the insulation out, be sure to get a respirator so that you aren't breathing in all those glass particles, because that can do a lot of damage on the inside. So that's your little public service announcement for today about safety. If you guys like this kind of content, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below what you want to see next. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe so you can see this school bus become a tiny house. And last but not least, a big shout out to Caleb for making some time today to help me with those AC units. Like I said, we got a lot done, and I look forward to continuing the build and bringing you guys along as I do it. So we'll see you in the next video.